You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Fan Theory Queries, where we analyze fan theories from all over the internet, but mostly Reddit. I'm Laura.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Spencer. And surprise, Merry Christmas gift to you all. We are here to record a few new episodes before the end of the year.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It really is, actually. The fact that we
Festivus miracle, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So we have 3 episodes for you this week to celebrate this season. And after that, we'll be taking a final break for the year and come back with brand new episodes starting January 10th, which is a Tuesday, which means our scheduling, our new publishing schedule will begin then, which is Tuesdays/Thursdays, 2 episodes a week. We were killing ourselves with 3 episodes a week. So we're going to do 2. And one more announcement and then we'll get started. We're also simplifying our Patreon pledge tiers. If you've looked into our Patreon, you're like, oh, there are 3. I don't know what to do. I'm so confused. Well, now we're only going to have 1. If you pledge at the $3 level, you will get access to our private Discord server where you can discuss theories and movies and stuff, all that good stuff outside of the show. If you've ever wanted to say, hey, your theory, the way you thought about the theory is stupid, well, you can do that in the Discord channel.
Yeah, come talk to us.
So we'll have a lot of fun with that.
I'd like to hear it from somebody other than Spencer and Laura for a change.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's get started this first day with the theory titled, Is Willy Wonka Santa Claus's brother?
Ooh.
And this is from the user PaulVS88. PaulVS88. And this is what they say. My theory is that Willy Wonka is the somewhat jerky brother of Santa Claus. He makes the candy that Santa delivers at Christmas. In almost all accounts, Santa's elves have a toy shop and make just toys. They are almost never shown making candy. Yet, Santa delivers tons and tons of candy on Christmas Eve along with the toys. We never find out where Wonka's factory is, but we do know it's very cold there, even in early October. It could be Longyearbyen, the closest major city to the North Pole. It may even be a smaller town that's even closer. It's very clear that Wonka has just some kind of magic going on in this plant and in his candy-making procedures, just like Santa does at his factory. The difference is Wonka has decided to also use his factory for profit the rest of the year. His helpers, the Oompa Loompas, are elves, just like Santa's. Very few humans get to see the Oompas. At the factory, Wonka tells them some wild story about where they are from. This is clearly a made-up tale to hide the fact they are elves. Confirmed in the 1972 version when he tries to tell Mike TV's mom, who happens to be a geography teacher, and she calls him out for lying. He doesn't care. Santa has a flying sleigh. Wonka has a flying elevator. The reindeer, they fly via Wonka's fizzy lifting drink, which he is still trying to perfect for humans. Charlie and Grandpa Joe prove that if you drink fizzy lifting drinks, you can control your flight by waving your extremities.
Did they?
As we see in the Santa Claus, Santa can be replaced by a regular human who then has Santa's magic. Wonka is trying to do the same thing by inviting kids to the factory to pick his successor. This explains why Wonka is so secretive. Also, why he brought the kids in on October 1st. Get his new protege in place before the big holiday rush so he could show him the real magic that happens at Christmas time. Well, that was a fun theory.
Yeah.
There's some very interesting connections that I
Interesting, you would call it fun.
some connections I never made before, but some solid points almost. What do y'all think?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I honestly never would have put these two people into the same category, let alone like lore. Mm-hmm. So it's just interesting that somebody even thought of this to begin with. But yeah, they do make a lot of pretty compelling points, I have to admit. I was skeptical whenever I first heard the title of this, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to see what you guys think and get through these comments, and I think I might have a decision on this one.
Okay. Laura, what are your initial reactions?
Well, I had always thought that any kind of sweets always came from Mrs. Claus. I thought that was
that's a
her
good
job. And
What made you think that?
maybe it was a children's book that I had, or some kind of decoration that we had that showed her like with a plate of cookies and candy on it, that made me think, oh, she's the one making all the sweets.
Let me ask you this. Do you think sugar plums are snozzberries? Do you think the sugar plums taste like sugar plums, or do they taste like snozzberries?
No, I would think no, I don't think that's the same
Yeah,
thing.
because then we'd have snozzberry fairies. It
And
just
that
sounds so
doesn't
much
fit
nicer to
into
say
the
sugar plum.
Nutcracker narrative quite as
No.
nicely.
Yes. Okay. Okay. It's fun. There's no physical similarity that we know of. Of course, maybe Wonka shaves. But he doesn't snack on candy all year, from what we could tell from his physique.
Right. Well, and wasn't that a major part of it might be, I never read the book, but I know in the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka, that, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, whichever one that was called, his dental health was a major thing for him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that
think
was a fabrication for the Tim Burton.
Oh, it wasn't part of the book?
Yeah, because I mean all that kind of metal headgear kind of stuff would not have been around when Roald Dahl wrote that book. At least I'm speaking from my logical connections in my brain. I don't know. When was that written? I mean, it had to have been written in the 60s at least, right? I'll look it up.
Let's check it
You can find
out.
it first.
While you're looking that up, I do have a comment on that basically, like, if you think about it, though, not all siblings look alike.
Yeah, that's true.
I've known a handful of people who are siblings that I wouldn't have been able to guess that had they not told me.
Yeah,
1964 is when it was.
I don't think he really goes into much of Wonka's history, other than like he does talk about where he got the Oompa Loompas and that kind of thing. But I'm pretty sure that none of his backstory is really dug into. I don't know. I can't speak at all to the Great Glass Elevator. But anyway, I know for sure that he does not mention that he's the brother of Santa Claus.
But he also doesn't say that he's not.
That is also true.
We don't know anything about his family.
So, as far as connections, here's some another good little attack at it from a comment that I found. I'll go ahead and go dive into this. This is from Herr Colin. They say, "This is actually well-fitting. Just like Santa, Wonka has an obsession with the naughty and nice. But he almost seems to be a foil to Santa. He works with the naughty. Look at all the kids
Does he?
Well, look at all the kids who went on tour. And I do believe they were chosen deliberately. All of them are exclusively self-centered and naughty, except for Charlie. Is this his own version of the Santa game? Punish some naughty while looking for a good replacement? Or was he genuinely trying to recruit a kid from the naughty list? Perhaps he wanted to prove to his good brother Santa that even naughty kids can do amazing things too, or that nice kids will still do naughty things, like Charlie. Wonka certainly doesn't fit the bill of a purely nice guy. Whenever he horribly screws up or literally transmogrifies one of the kids, he just kind of shrugs it off and the Oompa Loompas shuffle them away for some sort of unknown processing. And I'm like 90% sure those other kids are dead or were turned into Oompa elves." But those are some good things. I love his obsession with the naughty and nice.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
He just takes it in a different way. And then the last one that's really cool, just really short, from I Kick Hippies. They say, maybe he's Mrs. Claus's brother and her maiden name is Wonka.
Ah,
brother-in-law
see, that fits,
scenario.
that fits with what I was talking about. I mean, they would both have that gene for sweets, you know.
That sweet gene?
The sweet gene.
Sweet gene. Okay. So we have some possibilities here of what we're looking at. You know, that I would still say if he's a brother-in-law, he would still fall under the category of being his brother, sort of. So I still think that kind of supports the theory. I don't know. I think this is fun to think about. Do y'all have anything else you want to talk about before we take a break for this episode?
No.
One
Michael?
really quick thing.
Yeah.
Let's think about the similarities and differences of the Oompa Loompas and elves,
Okay.
because that is one of the big points that they make.
True.
So they're both technically short based off of the generic description that we get of elves in pretty much every story, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it ever talk about elves having orange skin, though? Or green hair?
Well, no, and the orange skin is also not from the novel either. That was something that they did for the movie.
Okay.
I think.
Gotcha.
Or maybe I'm wrong. I feel
I'm
like
going
I
to
read...
defer to you on that because you have more knowledge.
I don't know that he does.
Well, I feel like he has more knowledge than me because he's
just a
probably
little more
seen the movie.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So this is what I
Okay.
thought. Okay. Revised in 1973 edition of the book. Little fantasy creatures. The Oompa Loompas are hippies. Their skin is rosy white. Their unkempt hair is golden brown. They frolic in the factory gardens, picking wildflowers, playing hand drums, and chasing butterflies.
They're
Okay.
hippies.
So they're the hippie versions of the elves.
I
Yeah.
kind of love that.
Yeah.
Me too.
And that takes this person's username of I kick hippies.
I know.
to-
It's a whole different meaning now.
Well, because here, this is why I knew that was created for the movies, because originally in the early edition they're shown as African pygmies.
Oh yes,
So
I remember we mentioned that in the Grandpa Joe theory. Okay. Yeah. So I mean that I could see the Oompas and elves being related, I guess.
Okay. Well, good point. Good point.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will give our official theory plausibility ratings. And we're back. Before we give our ratings, Michael, do you think you could remind everyone of our rating scale breakdown? Now, I know it's been a while.
Yeah, I'm pretty rusty, but let's see how this goes. The highest rating that we have is genius. This is reserved for only the best theories, which we believe are better than the actual canon. The next step down is plausible. It's a good theory, it's believable. Unlikely is next. It's not a terrible theory, but pretty unlikely, as the name suggests. And then the last thing is preposterous. These are the theories that are just stupid. Basically, we're all dumber for having listened to them.
Okay. Does anybody want to volunteer to rate this theory first?
I'll go.
I'm totally down to go.
Oh, Michael said it
Okay,
first.
you go.
Oh.
You go
I
ahead,
didn't
Laura.
hear him. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Ladies first, go ahead.
All right, thank you. I'm giving this unlikely. It's not fully baked for me. If it needs some more ties in there. I can just see like some relation of, okay, they're almost like mantles. The way that this theorizer is posturing this, it's like it's a mantle to be passed down. If we're going with the whole idea of the movie The Santa Claus, that's exactly what it is. It's a mantle that gets passed down, and then kind of the way Willy Wonka sets it up when he's passing it to Charlie Bucket for him to take over, it's like another mantle, like a Dread Pirate Roberts or something. So if I need more ties between the two of them to make this web a little more whole for me.
Okay.
Okay, a slight bit of a counterpoint to what you just said. What if as part of, like, let's say that we go with the comment. Now, obviously, this is not the main theory, but if we go with the comment that says that Wonka is actually Mrs. Claus's brother, making him a brother-in-law, that means he married into that family. What if, as part of marrying into the Claus family, you become a magical being, and this mantle is created, and it's something that you have to learn to deal with, and maybe Wonka is the first one to have to figure this out for what he does.
Is that your going to go into your rating?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go. I think it's genius.
Okay.
I really do. Like, I know I've stated before, I'm not the biggest fan of the Wonka verse, but this kind of makes me like Wonka a little bit more.
Yeah.
He needs all the things he can get to be likable, in my opinion.
I agree. And this is a good step in the right direction for me, especially if we go with the fact that he's Mrs. Claus' brother. I mean, that makes him a little bit more likable to me. And then I do like the idea that the elves are hippie, or the Oompas are hippie elves. I think that's fun.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to say this is plausible. I just want to see a movie where Santa Claus and Willy Wonka team up together to deliver Christmas.
I think it's because we're fresh off of having watched Violent Night, and we want to see that universe expanded more. And so you're looking for anywhere you can expand that narrative.
That's true. That is true.
I mean, it's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I give it some credibility here and there. I think that there's enough similarities for this to be in the family business, whether that's blood or through marriage. And I know.
Ooh, I've just had an idea to go with what Michael was saying. What if it was like a consolidation of power thing? The Wonka family and the Claus family were both these eternal entities, and so then they intermarried.
Or maybe they were rival powers of magic, and the marriage is what brought the families together and united them for the first time.
Yes.
So then my question is, what's going to happen when Charlie takes over the factory? Like, does he become a Wonka?
Yes.
Or he does? Okay.
He gets adopted into the Wonka family.
Yeah, because Lord knows that they're much better than his own family.
I mean, he doesn't even... his father isn't even around.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm your father.
How about this? His father got pushed off the roof, and maybe his father was Santa Claus.
Hey, you're spoiling something here.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say he was pushed off the roof. I meant to say maybe his father fell off the roof. Anyway, all right, so we've got our ratings. Good.
Yeah.
That one was fun.
I like that one.
And so that means that it is time to bring this episode to a close. But before we do, I wanted to talk about plot leaks. Leaks, they seem pretty frequent these days because of social media. And but it's been a problem for years, even back in the 70s. As Cinco...
Is this one about Black Adam?
Not quite.
In the 70s.
As Cinco0987 pointed out on Reddit, the plot of the 1976 political thriller All the President's Men was leaked before its release by the events actually happening 4 years earlier.
Yep, they sure were.
So even back in the 70s...
Dead on with that one.
Back in the 70s, that's a problem.
Wow, that's some low-hanging fruit there with that one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Way to bring it back on a high note.
yes. Well, thank you all. Happy holidays. This has been Fan Theory Queries. I'm Laura.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Spencer. In our next episode, we ask, in The Santa Claus, starring Tim Allen, did Bernard the elf kill the original Santa? Subscribe to Fan Theory Queries so you don't miss out on that and other fascinating fan theories.
Fan Theory Queries is part of the Airwave Media Podcast Network. Visit airwavemedia.com to listen and subscribe to their other fine shows like The Projection Booth, Movie Therapy, and My History Can Beat Up Your Politics.